Mr. Ayton. This is the AP Chemistry 2026 free response question number 2. This was the exam that was taken on May 5th, 2026 at 8 a.m. And let's get to question number 2. This was all about a chromate ion and a dichromate ion. And we go to part A, number 1. They gave us a Lewis dot structure of the chromate ion. We want to predict the molecular geometry. Take a look. There are 4 bonding sites. That's sp3 hybridization, which is a tetrahedral shape. Very easy. Part A, number 2, this was interesting. They wanted us to draw a Lewis dot diagram for a resonance structure of the chromate, and they gave us some stipulations. They said that the formal charge is going to be 0 on 2 of the oxygen atoms and a -1 formal charge on the other 2. So we need a single bond on 2 of them and a double bond on 2 of them. And you can see we're going to do a single bond with octets, a double bond with octets, and that will give us everything they want for the resonance structure. We go to part B. Part B, they're adding a strong acid, H plus or H3O plus, whichever one you want, with chromate ion, and it's going to be converted to dichromate and H2O. You're just writing a net ionic reaction. 2H plus and 2CrO4 -2 yields H2O and Cr2O7 -2. That balances the atoms, it balances the charges, and that is just a net ionic reaction. They ask, is the reaction a redox reaction? And right away you go, a lot of students think chromate and it's going to be changing charges. Well, you got to investigate the charges there. If you took a look at the oxidation number of chromium, it doesn't change. It's +6. At the beginning and at the end. The hydrogen doesn't change. It's +1 at the beginning and at the end. The oxygen doesn't change. It's -2 at the beginning and at the end. So it is not transferring electrons. It is not a redox reaction. Then we go to parts C and part D. They gave us an equation of the dichromate and a strong acid, making this CrO3 and water. And then they say the CrO3 can be plated. It can be an electrolysis reaction can be performed where they're supplying energy and it's acidified. They're supplying with 6 electrons. This is the reduction reaction, making chromium solid. And you can see the E, the standard cell potential, is -1.32 volts. Right away you see it is a not favorable reaction, which means you're supplying 1.32 volts of electricity. The first thing they ask in part C is the reaction represented by equation number 2 thermodynamically favorable? No. The equation 2 is not thermodynamically favorable. You're going to do a calculation. The delta G equals -NFE, -6 moles of electrons times the Faraday's constant, 96,485, times -1.32, and that gives us a positive delta G. When we have a positive delta G, it is not a favorable reaction. Part D was one of those where I practiced this a lot in my class, was you got to go through a bunch of proportions. You got to go to get grams. We start with 15 amps, 3250 seconds. We multiply those using the I equals Q over T equation, and that gives me 48750 coulombs. Now, what do we know with coulombs? There's 96,485 coulombs, look in the green there, for every 1 mole of electrons. So if you know 48750 coulombs, you can know the moles of electrons. That's 0.505 moles of electrons. Then you go to your balance equation number 2. Take a look, there's 6 moles of electrons for every 1 mole of chromium. We have 0.505 moles of electrons, which yields 0.0842 moles of chromium. It's just a bunch of proportions, guys. Then you take that 0.0842 moles of chromium, you multiply by the molar mass of chromium, which is 52 grams per mole, and you get 4.38 grams of chromium that were deposited on that rod. Then we go to part E. Let's take a look at part E. You can see they're monitoring the concentration of dichromate for time. It's going down, the half-life staying consistent. And so it's a first order reaction. And that's what they asked. They said, explain how the data in figure 3 supports a first order reaction. Take a look. I'm going to come back to the data. We start at 0.5. Look at the time it gets to get cut in half. To go to 0.25, it took 20 minutes. Then to go from 0.25 to 0.125, it took another 20 minutes. And so the half-life staying consistent. And that's the easiest thing to say, is the data supports it because the half-life of the concentration is consistent at 20 minutes. If you graph natural log of the concentration versus time, it would be linear. This all supports that the dichromate is a first order. And what do you know? They gave us the natural log versus time, and it's linear, which again concludes that it is first order. And the student created that natural log of concentration versus time, and they wanted to know the rate constant. We want to find the slope of the graph, the negative slope of the graph, because the rate constant is going to be positive. We're going to take 2 points. Doesn't matter which 2 points we take. I took one at 3 minutes and 15 minutes, and I did the slope, and I got 0.0333 minutes to the -1. You could have also technically done your K equals 0.693 over the half-life, used about 20 minutes, and you would have gotten approximately the same answer if you did it that way. I think they would probably accept both of those. Then it says a student runs a second trial under ideal conditions, but uses an initial concentration of 0.25 instead of 0.5. And we want to draw what the graph looks like. Well, the graph is going to start off, if you do natural log of 0.25, you start at 1.40 instead of the 0.7. It's going to have the same exact slope. They had us where we begin at. We're going to have the exact same slope, so you're going to go down by the same rate of change there. And that was the AP Chemistry 2026 free response question number 2. Hope this helped. Take it easy. Bye.